Hey, welcome in everyone. Got a new face cam now, so we've got a little baby camera up there, which should make the stream a little bit nicer. I know everyone's been asking for see this beautiful fat face, so now you can. And we're just doing the usual Game Gear RePCBs, because they just keep selling. I've also zoomed out the vertical a little bit now as well. Now we've got the old face cam in. The vertical's also a little bit nicer because you can see more of the image. That makes a bit more sense. Oh yeah, but I can't get away. So yeah, you'll see this ugly mug the whole stream. I can turn it off. It's literally a voice command, so I can say unlock me. I think it is. Nope, that's not working. Unlock me. Nope. Okay. It's meant it does the whole tracking. I can do let's see if it works. Track me. No, it's just completely ignoring me now. So permanent face track. Hey from Australia. Welcome in. That's everything we need up for that one. So I've got these removal of these ports down already. I've only done a few more, but I can do them nice and easy now. So I'm going to try and show you the technique. Just zoom in a little bit. Yeah, it's possible. It's I can try it with this. Not that I need to turn it off, but it is handy. I keep forgetting what it is. It's track me, and then it's oh yeah, it's working now. So unlock me. Nope, doesn't like the unlock part. Unlock me. Nope, the track me works. So saying track me. Yeah, I know it's proper intermittent. It was working when I was playing around with it, but I don't really need it to track and untrack. Yeah, so this port now, max air, so 500 degrees and 120 on the speed, 10 seconds over this connector, roughly. Ten seconds over this connector, and then 10 seconds back and forward, and I just twist to the left, and that gets it off. So it's like similar to the A6, it's like a 30-second though instead of a minute. So this one actually wants a little bit more. All-time favourite computer game. Got to be Resident Evil. It's just whether it's 1 or 2, I'd say. I don't know. 1 I enjoy more because I like the mansion, but 2 I think has a bit more memories. It's more like the one I remember playing, but I've replayed 1 more than I have 2. I think I do prefer the challenge of 1. That's all the chips off there. So it's like a bit more. I think 2 is easier, to be honest, than 1. I think 1 was harder for me. Right, so the first one we're going to do is this board. I've grabbed a Z80 because we're missing the Z80 off this, and then we've got the 2 main chips here. And what I'm going to do is, you'll notice in the last few streams as well, I've been using my prototype crystals, and we keep having mixed results with them. I do have a note that I wrote down that replacing one of these resistors for a 600 ohm, I think, made it work. But then I had issues when I did that. It seems to be like a difference between the production crystals and the prototype crystals I had. But I really need to start using them so I can confirm, you know, what we need to put on the next batch of these boards when they run out. So we're going to only use the crystals I've had made now, and we'll figure that one out as we go. So let's just put on the flux on here. Let's get the hot air going. And like I say, the vertical camera's a bit nicer now, the setup. We've got like more in view basically because of the face cam shrinking it down, so it's kind of worked really well for both of them. Scott, thanks for the compliment. It's always appreciated. Oh yeah, you definitely want to put clean screen in. I see quite a lot of people use the Ben, I think because the scaling at the minute on the Ben is more dense, whereas the clean screen V3, it isn't quite as high resolution at the minute. The V4 is going to be the same resolution as the HD ones, integer scaled, and that's coming soon, but I think the clean screen people prefer for the features basically. We have a much cleaner install, a lot of debug features when things go wrong, we've got a lot more support, and personally I think we produce more screens than I think anybody for the Game Gear. I think we are the top seller for Game Gear screens. I don't think so for GBA. I think we're probably unfortunately one of the slower sellers for GBA, even though we've got the world's only original sized modern screen that we had made. It's just too expensive I think for production for a lot of people, so they go for the cheaper screen options. But the V4 Game Gear is actually hopefully going to be cheaper than the V3 as well because of how I've made it. So if I can get the prices down as well, it's not only going to be better but cheaper, so that'll help you guys out. Plus we've got the new power core now. I don't think I've brought any up actually, but the cheaper power board, much cheaper, like £14. You can get it even for like 10, I think it's actually £14 with VAT, £12 without on the website, but as cheap as the cheapest chips on like AliExpress, you can't even get a cheaper power board. So we thought we'd release that option for people that just want to restore Game Gears but not pay too much to have them repaired. So if other people are repairing consoles, then tried to track me changing the camera then. If other people are like repairing the Game Gears for customers, they want to try and give them a nice cheap option. So that's why we kind of made the power core board. Yeah, right, I better turn this heat down, it's on way too hot. Don't need that now. And probably zoom in a bit. Nice, Liam. That's 2 tips I've had. The only person that's ever tipped for me. And he's tipped £10 again. That's much appreciated. That will definitely go on Rusty and Acosta. I am trying to put RAM on a Z80 slot. Where's that come from? Don't know how I got the wrong chip there. That wouldn't have fit. On the zoomed in one, the face cam disappears as well, just because of real estate. The whole point of the really zoomed in camera is to be able to see what we're doing. So I've left the face cam off like the extra zoomy images. It's funny how I now pretty much solder these entirely off the live stream image as well. So I rarely use the microscope for building these now. I just look at the screen and get it done that way. DS consoles we don't actually do any of. It's just something that we don't enjoy working on, basically, and there's also tons of variants. So if we were going to make like buttons and things for them, we'd have to make it for about 7-8 different models, if not more. Yeah, we had that store in Milton. We went all online beginning, I think it was the beginning of this year. So we started off online, then we opened up local stores, and there just wasn't really enough locals. It was popular, but not enough to be worthwhile having to, man the stores, deal with walk-in customers, all the public liability business. There's just loads that goes into running a store. It just unfortunately wasn't really worth it for where we live. I did enjoy having it though. What do we reckon on these chips? Do we think we're going to get a bad VDP, like pretty much always? Or do you think we're going to be lucky and have a working one this time? I think we've got a record number of Facebook viewers at the minute as well. It's I think I've only been doing it about a week, but we started off with about 2 or 3 people in each channel. Now we're getting 10 to 20 in each regular, which is pretty cool. I've not really done anything on Facebook either. I don't monitor Facebook, by the way, other than the Messenger now. We've got some pages and stuff like that, but you probably won't get replies if you message on those channels. I just never log into them. We know what happened last time I did this. Let's just zoom in a minute nice and close, because last time I put the CPU on I was far too lazy and got shorts everywhere. So let's pay attention. Recommended source for Game Boy, as in just buying old Game Boys or buying them built up, because we sell them built up and we sell them stock, but you have to just buy them sort of broken so you can fix them up, or you after a fully working one. No, entirely self-taught. Everything I do is self-taught. I've never had any formal education for anything really. Just gotta go at it and figure stuff out yourself. It's the best way of learning anything. I think that looks soldered on well as well. Probably take a quick look this time, because last time I made a right cock up of this one. Oh, that's nice and clean. Yeah, that's all good. Now VDP, and then we need to try and not forget the crystal. Yeah, I think the Game Gear, I prefer the games. They feel more like, I think they were, obviously this is more powerful than a Game Boy was. I just think that kind of shows in the Game Gear. Like, they're just more powerful, more graphics. To me personally, I prefer the Game Gear games. It's a lot more like desktop games. But the Game Boy is hands down more popular. Why I got into it? Basically, I do software for a living, so the Game Boys, I started off like repairing Game Boys just as a hobby. It wasn't meant really to be a business, but that's just kind of how I am. When I start making things or designing things for me, I just end up selling them. I started it by just selling grey Game Boy Advance shells I'd made on eBay. So I designed them all, like 3D modelled the whole console, then designed the steel moulds with the factory in China I'd worked with. I think about 8 years prior to that, when I used to mod Xbox controllers for rapid fire chips. And then they just, I don't know if it was COVID that blew it up, or luck, or the fact the products were good, but basically the sales of that shell just took off overnight. So then I naturally just thought, well, I can't turn down business, so I just started making more stuff and selling more stuff, and that's pretty much how it happened. It was never an intentional business, but it definitely turned into one. Atari Lynx, yeah, we have the world's only proper power circuit for it, so a redesigned power circuit, because the Lynx has a common positive. So most systems, the ground is common, so like ground all over this Game Gear is common. On the Atari Lynx, it's actually a common positive. So I've designed what's called the clean power for it, which replaces that strange common positive circuit with a common ground. So all that basically means is that the voltage regulator on the Lynx becomes much more stable, because one of the most common faults with the Lynx is the power circuit overvolts the chips and kills the whole system. So clean power I'd definitely recommend, and then we've got the clean screen as well, obviously, for it. I do plan to make a clean juice as well soon, so it can be recharging the AA battery. So I'm going to make it so it's basically an AA recharger circuit, not a custom LiPo. We're kind of starting to move away from the custom LiPos and aiming more at AA recharge circuits. So in future, when the LiPos die, if we're not around to sell the LiPos that are currently custom to us, you're not kind of stuck in the same situation with other products where you can't refurbish them. So that's the kind of thought behind that. Temp on this, it's 480 degrees C and 80% airspeed. Oh, that's a nice autofocus camera. It's meant to... Has it lost its focus? Zoom in, zoom out. There we go. Must be the lighting. Favourite oatcake shop, the one at the top of Burslem. I don't know if it's called High Lane Oatcakes or whether that's just the name I remember, but top of Smallthorne, the two roundabouts go second right over to the heading into Burslem, not down the college, go the other way. Whatever the oatcake shop is along there, I love that. I used to love the one in Hanley, Oaty Mostons, but I don't think they're around anymore. That you used to get the Whoppers, so the oatcakes were like, I think probably 12 inches. They were amazing, but they no longer. I don't think they're up Hanley anymore, considering the state of Hanley now. Yeah, I think the autofocus on the face took over, and the more expensive ObSpot thing just decided it wasn't going to focus on anything then. Yeah, the Game Gear with the clean juice now lasts. If you put a clean juice and clean screen in, you'll get 20 plus hours, because the LiPos I've designed last that long, they're that big basically. And the clean screen's actually more efficient than the original screen. The main thing that killed the old Game Gears was the backlight, the big fluorescent tube. So you'll actually you can almost get 24 hours out of it if you turn the brightness and volume down with a modern clean screen. 480 now, nothing burns. You're totally safe. I'd take the other ports off at 500. Unless you sit there with heat for ages, you're not going to burn anything out. Right, crystal. I'll tell you what, let's just get this connector off first, and then we're done with this board. So this connector now, I mentioned at the start, for those that weren't here, I've taken a few off now, and oh, I know what the focus is on this camera actually. It is, I need to just zoom out, I've got it a little bit close for the minimum focal distance. So where the cameras sit at the minute, it's a little bit close, so if you zoom in, it'll focus like here, but you can't focus like there. You see, when I focus on the hand, I'm right on the limit of the minimal focal distance, so I just need to keep it there, I guess, and then I think I can do, yeah, like a digital crop. That's a bit crazy zoomed. I'll just go back to there for now. But yeah, removing this port now. Crank up the temps max, so whatever your iron goes to, so your hot air goes to. 500C, 120% airspeed. And then we basically just go as close as we can, and it's 10 seconds over here, then 10 seconds over this side, and then 10 seconds going between the two, and then it should just come off. It's roughly that. The funny plane, the known as the worst ones, we've had them in. More of the longevity of them, the fact they last. We rarely see them because no one really uses them, but it all depends on what they do, basically. So the main benefit of the clean screen is more the fact you'll get, obviously, hour support, which is one thing. You get warranty, so when they die, look at that, what someone's done. That's what you call a repair. So that's definitely an attempt to fix something. Yeah, so the warranty that we offer is part of, you know, our cost as well. The install of ours has a lot of debug modes, so if things go wrong, you get the debug screen on the clean screen, so it makes the install easier. The flex ribbons are meant to be better, but as I say, I'm talking about something that I haven't really seen many of the funny plane. The only time we see them is if people send them in to be replaced or that they've broken. But general consensus on our Discord, people literally say, it's not me saying this, but people say that the funny plane ones are the worst for Game Gear. They used to be the best for Game Boy Advanced, but I think they're definitely waning now. They just use, typically for the Game Boys, like old phone screens. So they're not even new screens, that's why they're cheaper. You just buy, you know, LG phone screens. Whether that's changed now, I'm not sure. But it's everyone's preference. I think the cheaper options are, obviously, if they're good enough for you, they're good enough and you save money. Ours are certainly not the cheapest. I don't think we've ever been the cheapest, but obviously to keep the lights on, you have to pay for a bit of customer service and warranty as well. It's not just about being the cheapest sometimes. Multimeter, yep, I use, well, I've got tons of them, but this is my general one. I use the Fluke 289. I've got as well, when I buy them for other people normally, I've got like this slightly cheaper model, the cheapest model that's still good, the 115. So if you're using a multimeter, this is more than good enough. I think the 289 I use is like £700. You don't need to spend that money. Right, so crystal. This is where the crystal might work. We're just going to leave. Oh, there's that lazy autofocus again. Why is this? I wonder if this is it just because I've zoomed in? Yeah, it's just because I need to stop zooming in that far. I'm going to move this camera back next time. I need an extension on so I can just sit the camera a bit further back. Otherwise, I can't optimize the zoom. Yeah, we're going to leave the original resistor on, chuck the crystal on, see if it works. And if it doesn't, we're going to properly fix this. We're not just going to take it off like we did the last time. We need to figure out what's going on with this crystal. That's zoomed in. And the crystal, because it's a crystal, not an oscillator, this can go on either way. So there is writing there. Let me just try and adjust the focus. I think we can get slightly better focus. There we go. Technically, the way around it is with the 32.215 upside down, but a crystal isn't oriented, so it's just, say, a pin here, and the crystal's in the middle. So if you rotate it around, it's still the same But if this was an oscillator with a built-in oscillation circuit in a crystal, the orientation absolutely does matter. So even though this isn't oriented, you tend to make sure you put things on whatever way they're intended, in case you get used to doing this and thinking, oh, it doesn't matter which way I put this crystal on. And then you come to do an oscillator and you end up putting things on the wrong way because you just get like lazy about it, basically. ESD protection, no, I've never used it, never had problems. Some people say you need it. I've never had anything die from static, so I've just never used it, basically. Where's my sponge gone? New here, Baby Jack, welcome in. We're just doing Game Gears, so this is pretty much all I seem to be doing these days. It's the main seller at the minute, so we're taking old Game Gears. I've got a bin full of them, tons of old Game Gears, and robbing the chips off them. So he's a dead one. You can see when there's like too much damage to reuse these. We take these chips off, put them on my new board, and make a load of Game Gears up. Yeah, the EverDrive fix is a bit crazy. For those that don't know, it was the flash carts. I think we have them. I've got one somewhere, but basically the flash cart that let you play games. I found an issue because one of my clean screen revisions, so one of the boards that's basically a modern screen, I'd made it so the level shifters, these things here, obviously this is a new design, so I changed it to suit, but the Game Gear's 5 volts, and the signals come in, and then the FPGA on here is 3.3 volts. In fact, it runs at 1 volt, but the logic's 3.3. So you use level shifters that lower the 5 volts to 3. On the EverDrive, I noticed that the SMS pin was actually sitting at 3 volts on the Game Gear side when you put the EverDrive in, which means due to CMOS logic, that's keeping the CMOS gate in the ASIC in a 100 times current over current mode, which is not good. It came about because I was using proper level shifters that expected specific voltages, and because the SMS pin was basically glitching in between the two, it caused the screen to glitch. Obviously, everybody else that then made Game Gear screens tried to basically say, oh, it's a clean screen problem, and move the blame away from the fact that I just, what I thought was politely highlight the fault with EverDrives, and offered the fix and said that's where it is. That's what you need to do. But no, he unfortunately didn't listen, didn't acknowledge that there's a problem. I've wrote a whole wiki article on it and a YouTube video. Not trying to be a dick, but that's literally, it's a fault with the EverDrives. And when you're charging £100 odd, I like to think like with our products, if people highlight a fault, as much as it can annoy you, like the creator, to think you've got a faulty product, you do have to listen and fix it. So there's a fix out there on YouTube for those that want to fix the EverDrives. But the new clean screens just allow for that lower voltage now and don't glitch out, but it's still technically a problem with the EverDrives. OMG cable, I don't think so, no. I don't think I've ever heard of that. Let us know what it is. DSI batteries, unfortunately not. We use battery factories and we make our own batteries. So we, like all the batteries you see, we have delivered probably every 2 months, and we sell out and we order more. So our batteries are all fresh and, you know, custom made for us by an actual certified battery factory, not just, you know, a random place. But we don't do DS, unfortunately. Game Gears we sell, there's an option on there to select fully loaded, so you can get them fully loaded. We use the Flash Gear Pros because they're no different than the EverDrives, really. For the price difference, I don't think it's worth the difference. Yeah, I don't know much coming from Stoke. I've travelled the world and spent most of my childhood learning stuff. But I think it's just curiosity. It's mainly, that's what I want to do. I've got a genuine intrigue for learning stuff, so that's the only reason I know so much. That's what I do all day, every day. I like to learn new stuff. Oh yeah, so I was trying to get through those messages. I saw that message about the camera. I'll show you in 2 seconds. These are all the normal cameras in a way, but they're also not. They're like the one above my head's about 8-9 grand worth of setup, I think. Lens is like 4 grand and the body's a couple of grand. But it's all Blackmagic stuff. So if I use this one's a OBS bot something, I think Tail 2, this one that I can control. So I can actually zoom up here and show you the other camera. I can zoom out a bit as well. I'll just put this in as well. So we've got a nice frame now so the mic doesn't echo as much when I tap the desk. I didn't notice till I watched one of the videos back, but there's the overhead camera. Just a Blackmagic Studio, and that's a Canon lens. And then I've got buttons on the side here. That's why I reach up to zoom in and out with the lens, and then manual focus. So I do want to convert this to, I was thinking of maybe buying another OBS bot. I can't show you the camera itself because obviously this is the camera, but I'll show you the camera on Google a second. You just pull up OBS bot. I'm really impressed with them because obviously the cameras I use are crazy high quality cameras. That's kind of the point of them. I want the stream to be really nice. So if we go to just overlay the PC, I guess. I'm using this thing here, OBS bot Tail 2. And it's like got an actual optical zoom inside and a full pan and tilt that zooms around. So that's that good for this side camera. Like you can see the quality's pretty good for what it is. I'm thinking of maybe trying it above as well, just so I can actually use a remote like this to zoom in and out, and I can actually pan and tilt. Whereas at the minute, the one above, this is fixed, and every time I want to zoom in and out, I've got to stretch up like this, zoom in and zoom out, and then when I focus, I have to kind of do this. So just for the sake of potentially getting that a little bit more controlled, I might just drop another grand on another OBS bot. Game in. The power cycle as well on the Flash Gear Pro, it does the same on EverDrives. We've had many in where they have an issue, and it's just if when the Game Gear boots and asks for data, if the EverDrive isn't ready to present it because it hasn't booted quick enough, it has a problem. But we even tried, that's why the CleanJuice had a delay feature on it, so that you could delay boot of the Game Gear using VREF. That didn't really adjust it. So I think it's just, again, a kind of fault in the flash carts and the boot logic. And because the other one is really a clone of the EverDrive, it kind of clones the faults as well as the good side of it. That audio doesn't sound right, does it? Let's try again. That sounds fine. That might have just been a failed boot because of just... No, that's weird. Got some funky audio. Never had this issue yet. Oh yeah, got a new tune. That is weird. I don't even know what to say there. And yet Sega, oh well, Sega will be PSG generated, and then the other audio will be digital. That is strange. But we've got 4 sound channels, so we could be missing one of the sound channels. Do you know any tiny microprocessors? Raspberry Pi Picos. That's what we use for when we need a tiny processor. Let's take a look at this, see if we can spot any issues. I think that's focused as good as it gets. Looks a little bit blurry. There we go. In fact, if we tilt the board up and focus higher up, there we go, we can like tilt and do that. Let me know if you see any shorts. Smaller than a Raspberry Pi Pico, you can go to Microchip, and I think Microchip brought like the AT Tiny range as well. You'll just be limited on pins. You could go to a BGA. You can get BGA microcontrollers with like 6 balls on and 1 or 2 GPIO. So you can get quite small. I can't see any shorts on them. The audio stuff is here, so it might be a fault on this board, but we haven't had that fault yet. So I can't see any there. Let me just look with the actual real scope, see if I can see with any depth if there's any issues. And just get these cameras on the go. Extra light. Should probably also make sure they're soldered well, because I don't think I've ever really had them. Very rarely do I not get the solder down well, but some of these pins might be in line but floating. And with it being sound, I could also just look at the wiki to find out which pins are sound, but shouldn't be that hard to figure out. We might even have like a faulty CPU, because I think that generates the sound. But I've got a feeling this might be a faulty RePCB maybe, but then again it can't be because it's the CPU generating the sound, so it might just be the bad CPU. No, all of them are solid. These are fogging up, steaming up. Ooh, whacking the light. What chip are we referring to, as in which chip is the small BGA, or what chip am I working on, are you referring to? No, everything seems good. No, soldering's okay as suspected, because it's rarely a soldering issue when you've done this many of them. So I've never had this specific issue yet on a RePCB. I've had this issue on Game Gears, and the Game Gear has four sound channels. Let me just pull up the schematic. Game Gear, this is the 2 ASIC. I'll pull up the PC. So on the Game Gear, you'll see here, we basically have the audio between the two chips. So the chip on the left, I believe, is the CPU, and the chip on the right is, no, it's the other way around, sorry. The chip on the left is the VDP, the chip on the right is the CPU. The sound goes between them, and the sound, if we looked at the 1 ASIC schematic, you can tell which is input and output because they are labeled. So if we zoomed in on here, not that this matters too much, but the sound comes out when it's connected to the 5 volts. So that means the if we go back to the 5 volt side here, so the 5377 chip in that case, which will be the 5377, so the VDP output sound into the CPU. So the fact it's wrong, I'm going to suspect yet again a VDP, but this time with audio issues. So, as always, considering it seems to just always be the VDP, do we swap that? Or one more thing. Let me just, I can't see it being this, but let's just pull the scope up, because the crystals also worked again, which this is where I'm saying it doesn't always work. And we wanted to fix, like with our crystal. So let's just make sure that frequency is correct, because the frequency of the crystal being off will affect the sound, actually. So it's probably going to be the crystal. In fact, I'm almost certain it would be that, because it would still run, but there'll be almost definitely be probably an internal clock running for the sound separate to the main clock to keep the noise of the main clock off. So let's see. Yeah, it wouldn't be It wouldn't be the game date. Well, it couldn't be the game data, but this is a known working game, so it's highly unlikely to be that. How I know all this stuff is just working on it loads. So I've worked on these now for a few years. Made me own, obviously this is my own board, so you learn more doing that as well. But just basically learn bits at a time and build your knowledge up. Everything seems harder at the start, like when I've been working on those Mac SEs, Mac SE30s. They've been a lot harder than most things because I don't know anything about them. Or very little about them, so it's been a lot harder. Just replug this picoscope in. It's been a lot harder to learn the Mac SE30s, but once I've learned, then the next ones are much easier. Oh, face tracking's lost my face. There we go. Pointing at my crotch instead of my face. Right, so let's check the frequency of the crystal. Where's picoscope gone? There we go. Get that over there. Get the scope over. There's the Sega. Oh yeah, I can definitely earn more money than repairing retro consoles, but I enjoy this, so some of the pleasure is in the fact that you enjoy, like I enjoy this more than software sometimes, and then other times I enjoy software. That's technically what I should be doing is the software. That's where like the good money's at in a sense, but I do enjoy a lot more than just software. I enjoy the hands-on and the learning new things. Yes, that crystal's fine, so 32.21 and it'll be 215, so that's a good crystal. And still funky sounds. So let's just warm the VDP up. Let's see if this changes it. Now it hasn't changed it, but listen, that I think it has changed it actually. Let's see. And what I'm doing is listening for, normally if you apply heat while it's running to a faulty chip, it would change behavior. So let's try the CPU instead. Nope. Try the Z80. Nope. So, I think we're either dealing with a faulty set of resistors. So these resistors on the original schematic are obviously, I've remade them on this. So let me just pull up my actual remade schematic and let me see where those resistors are, because some of those resistors might be bad. We might as well check those, and if they're bad or missing, then we'll be missing sound channels. So we probably could swap the chip quicker than diagnosing, but I'll still just take a quick look. Got no coffee. Might go grab a coffee in a minute. Just waiting for the Ultium Designer to load. It takes a while. Right, there we go. Right. RePCB 2 chip. I'll show you this in a second. I just don't want to put the schematic of this board on screen as such, because obviously it's not something I've released to the public. But I will show you in a second what I'm looking at. So I'll zoom in. Yeah, sorry. I don't think you guys are going to copy what I've done and steal my circuits. Let's just get this on screen. So what we're looking at here is my redrawn schematic for the game gear. So I'm just going to select this area, which is all the resistors and caps we care about. And then if I go over to the actual layout now, which is not there. Where's it gone? There we are. It's highlighting the chips here. So basically it's this big row here. All them are involved in sound, basically. So if we then take a look now on this board, it's all these. So I don't think they look bad. And I've never had them bad yet once. So I think we are dealing with probably a bad VDP. I think that's just the usual. That's like, why do we even question anything when a game gear doesn't work? It's always the VDP. So let's swap him out with this really grimy looking one. Look at that. The worse they look, the better they usually are. But at least the crystal's working, which I don't know what to make of it though, because the crystal didn't work the last time with the same resistor, so I still need to use these production crystals more than I am at the minute to make sure they're consistent. Yeah, the note on the board is if you're using an OEM crystal to remove, but we're not using an OEM crystal, we're using my custom made crystal. Plus that's what we're sort of proving at the minute is what load the resistors need to be for my custom crystals, because I've only just had them. I had like 10 prototypes made and then I've had 3,000 as a mass production made, so this is part of the 3,000 now. But I've only used, you can see that I've literally only used 4 of them at the minute, so I haven't used them enough to confirm the resistors, but we just use the picoscope to confirm the crystal's doing its job, which is to run at 32.215, so the crystal's not the problem. The resistors on our board are very unlikely to be the problem, because it sounds like we've got 1 audio track out of the 4, because the Game Gear has 4 audio tracks. So my guess is just a bad, yet again, a bad VDP, which is a shame because it's working in a way. It's just not working fully because obviously the sound's messed up. So DS, no, I don't touch. DS games maybe. We repair Game Boy games, but really the only thing to repair the games is cleaning the pins for the DS's. Other than that, they're just a flash chip inside, so you can't really do much about repairing them. But DS consoles we don't work on at all, unfortunately. We just don't like working on them. This will be the first VDP with an audio issue, if this does turn out to be the faulty chip. Get some fresh flux on there. I was meant to come on stream like first thing this morning. I just couldn't be bothered when I woke up. It's been raining all day. I just put me off doing anything. I've literally just mulled around and done next to nothing all day. Now I've just got sick of sitting around, so thought I might as well start work. Oh, I got this way too hot as well. Well, not a problem for me, but this will just come on much quicker. I've left it on the same heat for removing the extension port. I thought it was melting a bit quicker than normal. There we go. Yeah, I'm definitely preferring this vertical layout now. Now we've got that little bit more zoom out. I was finding on the other streams it was practically that zoomed in that you couldn't see anything, whereas when it's horizontal it was like perfect. So now it's a really good balance between the two. You're just missing probably 20% to the sides, but it's definitely helped having that extra camera at the top to make a lot more visual. Like they match a lot closer now. the vertical and the horizontal. Yep. So I reckon we're either gonna have bad luck and we've got another bad VDP with like visual issues, or I reckon this will do. It could still be the CPU. I don't think it could be the Z80. I don't think the Z80 has anything to do with the processing of sound at all. But obviously this is how we'll prove it. If we have faulty sound and it does turn out to be the Z80, then we know it does have involvement in it. But as far as I know, the Z80 on the left doesn't have any involvement in sound. It's only these two. And I think what happens is the VDP generates the sound, passes it to the CPU, and the CPU then just does a mix. There's a point. If I thought that through a little bit. The VDP generates the sound, the CPU mixes the 4 channels into an output. But still could be either, because the VDP might not be generating out of those 4 sounds, it might not be generating 3 of them. So, but yeah, it could literally be either one of these 2 chips. But my bet is on the chip that's always wrong, which is always the VDP. Just give that a second to cool. And we'll see if that has solved the problem. Can close that schematic now, I think. We don't need that open. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we won't need any of that. Yeah, that's cool enough. Right, let's see if we're in a better state or a worse state. And it's a bad VDP. But let's listen if the sound's any better. That's how we'll know. Yep. So, this is a bad VDP with the classic corrupt data that you've seen almost every time I do these things. But also the other one's a bad VDP because the sound's now correct. So that's what it should sound like for those that can't remember Sonic. So let's let the game start. Yeah, so unfortunately, that's going to have to be another VDP. So that's the first time we've had a VDP that generates a sound issue with perfect graphics. So I'm going to add this one to the wiki before I forget. So give me 2 seconds. Let me just log into the wiki and make a note of this, because this is the first time we've ever had this. And if you don't know what the wiki is, just type in retro6.wiki as the website, and it's where I give away all of the knowledge on repairs. If you wanted to get into this yourself or fix something yourself, I literally give away all the knowledge on everything I know. I need a new column in the wiki now that also says out of reset, yes, border, yes, screen test, black audio, missing audio channels, notes, audio plays but sounds like it's missing a lot of notes, Sega plays normal, and that is the VDP. And then at the bottom, I know I'm talking to myself and you can't see this at the minute, but I'll show you in a second. 5377 914 1E7, is that? Yeah, 1E7. Visually okay, but audio missing channels. Right, I'll publish that and then I can show you the public website with it on. And then we've had another one, I might as well add while I'm here, with exactly the same as the last. I don't know how many with corrupt graphics. I need to add that to the count. This is 922. I've never seen a 922 before. 922 9K7. And I'm just getting the let me show you. I'm just getting the value off these chips here. So 922 9K7. I'm just making a note of all the faulty ones and what they cause. And then once I do that, anyone that's then repairing these and wants to see, get that to go over, can then go on the wiki and go to the side menu, scroll down to Game Gear, and then scroll down again because the stupid wiki keeps closing the menu, and go to RePCB. And this is basically the install guide. And when things go wrong, this is a chart that says, if you've got a problem, what do you do about it? So in this case, I've just added a new one at the bottom. We get out of reset. We get a border on the clean screen. We get the screen test to pass, so that's yes. Black is a full passing test. And then the audio, up until now it's just yes or no. Now it's yes, but missing audio channels. And then I explain what the fault is and what the problem typically is to the VDP. And then in the bottom, there's some bad VDP examples, like the one we've currently got on. I keep a log of all the chips as well. So these are the ones that have failed, and this is the one that's just failed for the audio. So it's just handy to have that for reference, basically, for repairing. So now we've done that. That's the admin out of the way. We need a third VDP. So once more with feeling. Thanks, Jake. Yeah, we definitely need luck at the minute because this is 2 days in a row where we've had 2 bad VDPs in a row. Might as well set that back up correct now. And off we go again. In fact, let's take this one off first so that we can do a hot swap a bit quicker. Yeah, thanks. I enjoy sharing my knowledge. That's part of the pleasure of this. I think I'd find it boring if I was fixing stuff and keeping the knowledge to myself. I don't really get that much pleasure from just fixing it. I enjoy sharing it and, you know, getting feedback from others and seeing others use that knowledge to help, you know, fix stuff as well. I think it's missing a lot these days. There's just general community and positive vibes, to be honest. I think there's so much on social is just either pointless or negative. There's just so many things that aren't enjoyable online anymore. It'd be nice to have, you know, environment where people are just happy and share knowledge. That's kind of what the Discord's for, the discord.gg/retro6. That's why I kind of set that up as a place you can go and discuss repairs and mods without getting told that you're an idiot if you ask a question, because that's pretty much what every other Discord does. And most other servers do, instead of, you know, allowing people to ask questions and not calling them idiots. That's one thing we don't do in our Discord. I'll make sure, even if people do, they get banned. Like, then we don't allow people to put people down. That's a big part of it. It's meant to be a place where, if you want to ask a question, so many people are afraid to just ask because they think they're going to sound stupid. But that's literally the exact opposite. You should never be afraid to ask, and I'll ask stupid questions, and I don't care what it comes across as, because I can make myself sound stupid sometimes, and there'll be people that will try and take advantage of that and say you don't know what you're doing and stuff. But if you're self-confident, you don't need reassurance from others. Just be confident in asking the questions, and that's how you learn. The people that aren't afraid to ask stupid questions are the ones that learn the most, because it's often the stupid questions that end up being the important ones that make you have critical thinking and understanding. The PC Engine GT, yeah, I've remade that circuit board as well. I don't think... No, they're not in this room anymore, cleaned up. But I've got them on retro6.co.uk. I've also got a board scan, so if you wanted to see through the board, if we go to the website and pull up the website a minute, we went to kits and parts, and then go down to PC Engine GT there. You can see we've got the remade circuit board. So this is like this Game Gear I've got here. It's a remade RePCB. So this is before I called it RePCB. This one's got reboard written on, but that's like the name I've gone with now, RePCB. So we fix them as well. If you want a board scan of this, if you go to retro6.wiki, let me just pull that up and go to, oh no, not retro6.wiki, what am I about? It's board view or something. I can't even remember my own website. boardview-pce.retro6.co.uk. And then because I've got this hosted free at the minute, just so I don't have to pay for how often people use it. If no one's visited it for a while like this, it'll spin up the server. So it's just boardview-pce.retro6.co.uk. And it's just a little bit of JavaScript I wrote to overlay scanned images that I've used. So you can see, you can zoom in. This is the board. You can press up and down on the keyboard to go through the layers. So if you zoomed out, you can kind of see, and you can basically go through the circuit and see, where things go. So on the top, it looks like this. And then if you go down, you kind of see it cutting through. So you could follow along. Say you're trying to follow this trace. You can double click and add, that dot now. So it's a blue dot. And then it traces through the other side. So you can go across. So you follow this dot, go back up. And now you can zoom out and you can see where it is. So that's just like a nice little tool thing I wrote for the PC Engine. VDP chips, no, you can't buy them. They just have to come off the old one, basically. Yeah, I'll do videos on the PC Engine when I get them in. It's rare we get them in. I think I've got a few in at the minute, so when they do come up, I will get onto them, basically. Guy named Volta, is it Volta or Volta? Yeah, he's just a dick, basically. He's one of the original people where I made the first ever ceramic cap kits for the Game Gear, and nobody else was using ceramic caps on really many or any retro consoles. I posted something on a video before I knew who he was and before I was anybody. He just basically was a complete dick, saying that you can't use them, you don't know what you're doing, yada yada. So, a guy with very little knowledge and far too much ego, basically. Common issue on the contrast wheel. Yes and no. The common issue is technically the old caps rotting traces, and there's actually on retro6.wiki, if you go to the Game Gear section and the LCD contrast section, there's a few images of where things commonly rot, and I've fully reversed it as well, reverse engineered it all. So if you've got an oscilloscope, you can probe the entire path, but it's all this circuit on this side here, basically. But there's some semi-common places where traces rot. Have I not done a video on the Lynx Clean Power? I think maybe I haven't. I've just literally installed one. I installed one 3 days ago, so I should have probably done a video on it. I just swiped off half of the old caps there. I don't think they're stuck on the VDP though. Oh yeah, they are underneath. Too busy reading comments and then swiping all the chips off. There we go, that's them off. Yeah, we've still got a CPU we want on that. Right, and let's put the third VDP on. And we can't be that unlucky that we get 3. My background now, I'd say my background's technically software. That's the main thing I do. But no, I'm all self-taught. Everything I do is self-taught, and I do quite a lot. So do retro, I do houses up. So we buy houses, restore them, sell them on. Do software. I used to do things like cars. I was quite into repairing engines and fixing vans up and stuff, and I just haven't done that in a while. I even had a car lift, got like a 4-ton car lift so I could do it, but I got rid of that a while ago now. I just like to do stuff. It's what keeps me entertained, basically. My fun is in the kind of learning new things or fixing things. It's going to need some more flux as well, I think, this one. that face cam's just tracking me everywhere. I can't even duck out the way of it. It's quite good though, that like tracking your face, because the whole point of a face cam is that you can see the face, otherwise I'd be off camera every 2 seconds moving around. I don't know anyone that restores DS games as such, no, but if you go on retro6.gg discord.gg/retro6, we've got like nearly 8,000 members on there. Quite a lot of them are modders, so I'm sure you'll find somebody on there that'll help you out potentially. I'm adamant to come on here and stream one time when I build up these RePCBs in 15 minutes each. That's what they usually take me. Every time I stream one, they end up being a pain in the ass. I think we got one on Wednesday or Thursday. I think it was one on Thursday where we actually just built it and it worked first time, but that's normally the case. They don't normally fail like this. Just got a whole load of bad VDPs at the minute. Retro slowing down? Yes and no. We've had our business basically, I think it's been going 5 years maybe. I think it's 5 years, but generally what happened is our business went from nothing to ridiculous overnight, like absolutely crazy, 8,000% month-on-month growth for 18 months. Touched up to like, I think 2 million turnover, and then dropped about a year and a half into 2 years in. Over the next year, dropped to about 1 million turnover, and then for the next couple of years, just slowly went down and down and down and down, and we cut back everywhere, reduced it all to family, kept everything going, and had a similar thought like, oh yeah, I think it's, maybe it's had its day. And then like probably 5, 6, 7 months ago, all picked back up for us. So we never struggled on the repairs. That was through the whole process. We always had repairs and prestiges, but the general sales, the modding of, selling things to other modders and shells and stuff, that has been the thing that's been up and down. This repair side has been permanent. Like we've never once had 0 consoles in for repair ever. We hit once where we got down to 14. And at the minute we have, I think I looked yesterday, we have 161 in. So we're never not busy on this side, but it's literally like a 1-2 man job. So, but no, I think the retro's picked back up. I've done a load of stuff recently with Pringles, The Guardian, loads of news agencies. The BBC wanted to do stuff. Jason Bradbury's been in touch a few times on and off. He's recording a series. So I think the retro is still about. It's just you've got to ride the waves. I think if you grow a business and employ people and then you try to stay at a certain level, you've just got to follow the flow. We had to go from 16 people down to like 6. You've got to just swallow your pride and accept that, if your business is slowing down, it's one thing I've never been ashamed of or, afraid to tell people. I could care less. I'm open and honest. If it struggles, I say it's struggling. If it doesn't, I say it isn't. Yeah, you're dead VDP. We are not having any luck today. Well, hopefully I've just screwed up some soldering, but yeah, that looks like it's going to be a dead VDP again. No, these are prestige sales, but yeah, we have mail-ins all the time. We've got, I don't even want to look at how many we've got to open. Let me just, this is in the last few days. You get to look at the dirty, messy scene behind me. So those are the ones we haven't opened in a few days. They're all send-ins, so yeah, we never slow down on that side at all, really. Right, let's check my soldering. I'm hoping I've just messed up the soldering or put something on backwards or something else, but yay, there's a solder joint. So hopefully this VDP is good. I've just got one solder blob. One little blob there. See him, the little short. So hopefully that's all. Well, that definitely will stop boot, but hopefully this is a working VDP when that's gone. There we go. Sponge I've run out of. Ah, yeah, someone spotted the short before I did. Yeah, thanks. I work a lot on the setup of these cameras. It's nice to be able to have a nice sharp stream with where you can actually see what's going on. Mend It Mog. I've heard of it. I don't know whether I've watched him or not. Let me just pull him up. I might. I'll know by the face. I won't know by the name because I don't really pay attention. But the name, somebody's mentioned him before. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, once or twice, not very often. I've seen it a while ago, but I haven't seen his videos in a while. Yay, Sonic. Right. Do we have sound now? There's no way we've got another VDP with bad sound. We've only ever had that once. There we go. Working. Finally, that was hard work. There we go. Done. Well, that was one. I was expecting fly through about 4 by now, but I just wanted to come on and do a bit of work, so I was getting sick of sitting down. So that's that one out the way. Now look at that nice Sonic. I wonder if it looks better with this off. Not really, not much different on camera. What works best to scale? What do you mean by that in terms of like what's cheaper to send in, or what consoles are the best, or not quite sure what you mean by that bit? Yes, I've read the message further down. So in terms of I'd say, I don't know, growing the repairs, we never really struggled. We started with Game Boys, that's all we did, GBAs. Then we did GBA SPs, and then SPs took off. So we used to do nothing but SPs pretty much years ago. That's long since died off, and we almost never get SPs now, which is strange. We don't know why that happened. I can only presume either other people have taken that business because they're definitely popular, or people just, I don't know, prefer our GBAs to our SPs. But they just came in naturally. And then what I did for all the other consoles, it's only fairly recent, we listed other consoles. We stuck to handhelds because they're by far the most popular. So if you want to grow it, stick with handhelds to start with. You'll get far more handhelds than anything. Like our ratio to handhelds is probably 100 Game Boys to 20 of every other non-handheld console. So Mega Drives, Saturns, Dreamcast. Literally, it's like 5 times more for handhelds. So I'm going to have to desolder with that. So definitely stick personally with handhelds. It's also much easier to work on. The very, very simplistic compared to desktop consoles. The only other thing you could do is if you got into specialties like Amigas, like I've got, there's quite a fan base around it. But again, you're not going to sell an Amiga every day because they cost a lot more. So I'd personally say just stick to handhelds and focus on that. Everybody else, I don't know how popular other people's repairs are, but I don't think, based on what people say, I think our repairs are more popular than anyone's we've got. That's literally, we're known more for repairs than we are for sales. And what you want to do, in my eyes, is limit what you offer, not necessarily offer too much. So everybody else offers, pick a colour shell, there's 17 colours, pick a colour buttons, there's 17 colours, pick your rubbers, pick your screens, there's 12 different screens, there's 7 different amps. We offer 2 screens, 5 shells. You can't mix and match buttons, you can't pick rubbers. You know, it's kind of the good old philosophy of, would you like a black iPhone or a black iPhone? It's like, limit it down and you won't lose business. Giving customers too much choice is, well, it's proven for us it was the wrong decision to offer all those. That's what we literally used to do, is offer everything. And now we've cut back massively and only ever seen a benefit from it, really. Like, we've had no negatives to offering less. And then it allows us to also focus a bit more on the fewer products. We can do real photos instead of renders as we're starting to do them. We can keep stock in better because there's less to keep an eye on. It's just that I always wanted to stock everything. Like, I wanted customers to have the option to have everything, but business-wise, it's worked a lot better limiting those options down. And then this is where a melamine sponge comes in. So say I try use this normal rag now to wipe, because there's pins here, it just gets stuck. You're just going to rip this up. Whereas if you get a melamine sponge, and you do the same, the sponge will rip, but that's the whole point. You just go over, and the sponge will just glide over them pins, clean it perfect, and just take the damage for you. So the sponge gets shredded, and you just have to clean your desk of sponge shreds, but your board's nice and clean, which is what you want. Not my desk isn't nice and clean, it's messy as at the minute. The Magnavox Odyssey, I've probably only done, I think I've done about 3, so very, very uncommon for us. I don't know whether they were more of a US thing, but we also had to limit, again, part of what I've just been saying, we've limited a lot of what we work on in order to keep up, because we were repairing everything and anything. I don't know why I did that, to be honest. It was, again, I enjoyed doing stuff, I wanted to learn more. So I started repairing, like, people wanted laptops and heat chambers and fire breathing apparatus stuff. I was just repairing everything because I could. I enjoyed it, but my God, we had some work in. We were up to 250, I think, repairs. We were on like a 4-month backlog. It was not a good thing to do, really, because it wasn't a good customer experience. So even though I can repair stuff, you have to choose to not to do things sometimes. And the Magnavox thing was one of those we just chose to not do because we don't sell that many of them. Toothbrush, not really, I don't think so, because it's kind of whapping a little bit. It's almost like a load of tweezer tips just flapping around, whereas the sponge goes flat and really rubs the surface. I see people using toothbrushes. I don't think I've seen anybody using a sponge, but I'm sure you will now once people see these sponges. Right, what was this? Is that the dead one? Yeah, 9229K7. We've already logged that one. I think that'll do for the build-up. Chuck them in there. Let's clean this dirty desk up. It's amazing how much mesh you can make doing one Game Gear. Put the ribbons on so it's complete. Move them out the way. Back in there. Crystals back in there. Yeah, let's put these on, then I'll clean the desk up. Ah, yeah, thanks. Did you see the ones on them? I think I've still got the boards. I've got the boards up there. No, I actually chucked them recently. I was doing a big cleanup, but I was going to show you the boards. But I actually cloned the circuit board for them as well. Again, it was stuff I enjoy doing, so it's not financially viable. It was just more of, like I say, I enjoyed doing it at the time. If I ever get where I fancy doing stuff like that again just because I want to, then I still get people daily asking me to repair stuff that's got nothing to do with retro, but like I say, sometimes you just have to try and focus and not get too distracted by doing too many things. I've got this this little face cam thing. This one's a OBS bot Tiny 2, I think it is, and it's nice and nice and sharp. I tried it in the other room, thought it was good, then brought it in here, put it up on the monitor, like up in front of me, because it says it's got zoom, 1 to 4 times zoom, but the thing is tiny. It's like literally, where's the camera? Like this big, like a tiny camera. And I was like, that's never got optical zoom. And I put it on the top of the TV, zoomed in, and it was just digital zoom. So I was like, oh shit, this is not good quality. So I've got to take to the top of the microscope, basically. But luckily, I don't think when I move this, no, it doesn't move it because I've got, obviously, it's on the post of the microscope itself. So luckily, I found a place that it actually fits and doesn't need to zoom. It's in just the right distance. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to get a good image, and I'd have to send that back. But if you want a webcam, I've had every webcam under the sun. I've got the Razer ones, I've got the Elgato ones, I've had all the 4K ones, and like all webcams, they were just shit. Whereas this thing, even though it's sold as a webcam, this is really, really, well, you can see the camera does not look like a webcam. It's really good. So I can't recommend the OBS bot stuff enough. It's a little bit pricey for, consumer level stuff in a sense, but you can see the quality of it, that both of the cameras on screen at the minute are OBS bots. There we go. So he's all clean. You can see that it just cleans all of that flux off nicely. Camera for microscope, as in the camera you're seeing here, it isn't the microscope. I've got a microscope, but we've got this fancy little zoomy movie camera. So the scope here is obviously just a scope. It does have a little thing on top, but this is literally shitter than the camera I use, which is up there. So it's just a Blackmagic studio cam and a Canon lens, cinema lens, I think that is. But I'm thinking of swapping that one above for one of these, so I can do this with it as well, like move it around, mount it up top still, but have a bit of control to move it left and right and stuff. And all I'll do is hold this camera and literally hold it above my head and zoom in, and then do a side by side. I'll turn this camera on. I can even do it with this now, but I don't know whether I want to get off that stand. No, I won't get off the stand for now, but I can do literally a side by side, like hold that one next to that and then split the screen. And if it's good enough quality, I don't really lose much quality, I'll swap it for another OBS bot, and then it's a bit easier on the setup in terms of I've got a bit more control, so I don't have to keep moving my hand up the top. Crystals are there. All-time favourite console game? Probably, I've said Resident Evil already, but if you ignore Resident Evil, then Zelda on the N64 is very high up there. I love that game. That's one of the classics. To be honest, that's probably the second one, if not the first. It's like Resident Evil and Zelda were the two I always remember and always replay. I've rarely replayed the Zelda because obviously it takes so long, but I love the... Is it Ocarina of Time on the N64? I think it is. And then they did Majora's Mask, but I never really played that. It was just Ocarina of Time. I'd never played the Game Boy ones either. Until recently, I started to play. I've started the first Game Boy Zelda. And I didn't like it at first because I'd only ever played the N64 one. But I got into it, and now I'm stuck on like this. I think it's... you go through some sea. I can't quite remember now. and you're in basically a temple where you're pushing boulders through the holes. I've been stuck there for months. I pushed a boulder somewhere and I can't find it anymore. So that's basically where I'm at. Every time I get 5 minutes to go on the Zelda game, which I play on that Game and Watch, like the remade Game and Watch, I'm stuck in that place trying to find the boulder. Oh yeah, Bubble Bobble. I'll tell you, there's another one as well that I totally forgot. You know, when there's games as a kid that you play and then you never remember them as an adult, and then all of a sudden you see something and you like remember the whole game. That happened when, before I started this company, I was buying retro games. I was buying an N64, or was it a SNES? I think it was the N64. And I come across Tetris. Is it called Tetris World or Tetris Verse? And it's like a 3D cube, and it's basically Tetris as a 3D world. I'd completely forgot that was even a thing, and as soon as I saw the box, I remembered it, and like I remembered it as a kid. So I brought that game. That was good. Right, that's that one all done up. I think that's all I wanted to do for tonight. I was just jumping on to test this new face cam thing. So I presume it's all good and everyone likes the new angle, because the horizontal, we've just got a camera down here. The vertical, I've put the camera above. I think it's mainly enhanced the vertical because you see a lot more on the bottom, and it's also, I guess, it's a bit more interactive when you can see the person that you're watching as opposed to just here. Story behind the logo, the Retro 6 one. Let me just zoom this one over. So he's having this movable thing. So, whoa, we don't want to zoom in on my face that close. This one, it was the Nintendo, so the GBA logo, basically. So that's like, if you take the GBA logo at the top of a Game Boy Advanced, and I just put Retro 6 in. And then that was me when I wasn't like 17, 18 stone. That was when I was thin as a child and holding a Game Boy. And then the name, just because my software company's called Angel 6, so Retro 6 just made sense. Yeah, Game and Watch in the bog's quite a good thing, actually. Alright guys, thanks for joining in anyway. I'll chuck it on the ending screen. You guys can have a quick chat if you wanted, and if not, I'll probably be back on tomorrow a bit. I've still got more of these to build. I've got another 1, 2, 3, 4. I've still got to build 5 more of these yet, so just slaving away. But they are quite good. They're quite simple to do without having to think too much, and I think it makes a good live stream, so I'll catch you guys tomorrow.